Again, would you please welcome our Rochester Rotary president? Oh, I love this song, so take your time, Pat. Take your time, slither on up to the podium, and introduce our distinguished guest speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Stack.
Thank you, Dan. So, isn't this great? So, again, I hope you're all enjoying tonight. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce the Rotary International President, Barry Rassin. I have just a small bio here. It should take no more than 45, 50 minutes. So I hope you'll bear with me as I go through this. So I did show the short version, which is only a couple pages to Barry. And he goes, "You don't want to say that." All right, so I won't. So I'm not going to read anything. But let me just say a couple things. I've had two opportunities to meet Barry. The first one was up in Toronto at the President-elect luncheon for the Rotary International Conference that we had. And it was a first. It was the first time, well, it's the first time for me being at a Rotary event, international event, which was wonderful. But the major thing about the night, or the afternoon, was about 3/4 of the way through, everybody got up and started dancing. It is the first time we've ever seen this. Barry had a wonderful steel band present with us, and the place erupted. And I think it says a lot about the type of leader that Barry is. He's passionate. He's very much into what we're all about, but he knows we need to have fun as well. So again, I'm not going to tell you his bio. He is our president. All right, and I strongly recommend that you take a look at what's out on Rotary International, look at some of the YouTubes, and understand the story that he is telling for us at Rotary. And just one last thing, we did have the opportunity today to show Barry and his wonderful wife Esther the Sunshine Campus. And the Sunshine Campus is used by all the Rotary clubs of Monroe County. And it is a place that we are extremely proud of. And it was wonderful showing the district governor and Barry that event, that venue and everything that we do there. But you could just see in both Barry and his wife Esther, just the warm personalities that they have and what they are looking for here. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Rotary International President, Barry Rassin.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Normally I only dance when my wife is next to me, then nobody sees me dance. She's the one who knows how to dance. Thank you so much, President Pat. Appreciate the introduction. Appreciate the invitation to come to the Rotary Club of Rochester and all the Rotary clubs and other districts that are here tonight. Truly a pleasure. Also, thank you to Don for organizing this time after time. Clearly, this is a labor of love. I congratulate you, and I'd like to ask us all to say thank you. We have 3 governors in the room, I understand. Governor Mike, thanks for showing most of the people here videos of my speeches, so I don't know what to say. That's a challenge. Governor Tammy, good to see you again. You already had 14 photographs of me since I got here tonight. Add them to the collection, is that it? Okay, okay. And Governor Melissa, somewhere over here? Governor Melissa, if you don't know Melissa and you want to charge your battery anytime with energy, go see Melissa. I happened to be at her district conference for only an hour last weekend, and I was charged. Fantastic. That's the kind of leaders we have in this organization. They inspire me, and I thank all of you for what you're doing. You could join me. I'd also like to say thank you to 3 special people here. You're all special, okay? Don't get me in trouble here. My wife's going to tell me I shouldn't have said that. But President Wilf, he was one of the presidents when I was on the board of directors of Rotary International. He's one of the leaders in Rotary who has helped to mold me to what I am today, and I appreciate that. Past chairman of the trustees, Bob Scott. This is a man whose leadership in polio eradication is known around the world. You can't go anywhere in the world without somebody saying, Bob Scott taught me about how important it is that we should finish the job. Bob, you were instrumental in this, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Frank Collins actually asked me to be his seminar trainer for his International Assembly. And he made changes that year, good changes, and made sure our governors got a good experience while they were there, not just training. Really enjoyed working with you, Frank. Thank you. Now, I could keep going around the room, but you might get tired of that. But I did want to ask, and they already beat me to the punch, but I would like all our interactors, Rotex, Rotaractors, Youth Exchange, and anybody under 40 in the room to stand up. There's a few folks here we need to give them their birthday because they've forgotten it. But for all the others, that is our future, folks. They're the ones who are going to be our leaders. One of those people in this room is going to be a president of Rotary International in the future. I love talking with and meeting with the young people in our organization. And as probably most of you know by now, the youth programs, and we don't even like calling them youth programs anymore because they are Rotarians. We call them interactors, we call them Rotaractors, but they're Rotarians just like you and I. And we need to understand we're all equals in this. So one of our priorities this year is to work with all of our youth, to work with all of our young professionals to make sure they are being part of our leadership for our clubs, part of our leadership for our districts, so that they can work with us, not for us, so that we can understand each other better than we do today, because they truly are going to be the ones who lead us into the future. I had the great opportunity today, as your president said, to go to the Sunshine Campus. And we drove around, and it was impressive, and we saw the tree house where kids in wheelchairs get a chance to actually be in a tree house. Imagine. I could just see the smiles on their face because they have an opportunity to do something that all other kids have an opportunity to do. But although I was inspired by all this, it was the story at the very end that really got me. It's a story about a family who have a diabetic daughter, and they wanted to give her the experience of all other kids by going to the camp. They took her there. I understand somebody in the family stayed in the parking lot all day because they expected at any time she would call and say, I got to go home. But she didn't. And she hardly called during the week. At the end of the week, she finally got home, and the father went to give her shot, as he always did. And she said, no, Dad, you don't need to do that anymore. I could do that myself. Think about all the lives that you've changed because for 96 years, you've been supporting this amazing camp for the disadvantaged children. I want to say thank you to you for what you do. You know, when you hear stories like that and you realize the Rotary has this this power to work together to make a difference in people's lives. That's why we do what we do. And we always have to remind ourselves of the amazing work that we do in Rotary. We all have heard the story of polio with Bob in your group, but you've heard it many times. But we know 30 years ago we were having 1,000 people a day, mostly children, contracting polio. This year we've had 22 cases of polio. 22 children have had polio this year, compared to 1,000 a day. But that's not good enough. There's only 3 countries endemic, but Nigeria hasn't had a case in over 2 years. But Pakistan and Afghanistan are a challenge. Right on the border of the 2 countries, we've got to finish the job. We know it's work to do. We know we're frustrated by it. But we're almost there, truly. And we've got to get the job done. We can't allow another child to have paralysis from polio. So let's keep going. Let's do what we have to do and finish it. We've got to keep immunizing children. We've got to keep advocating with the governments, with religious sects. We've got to make sure that the job continues. What you need to do is to help us make sure that our communities understand that polio is still in this world and can still affect us if we don't eradicate it. We must do it. Look how far we've come. Look how far you've brought us, because it's your donations and your support and the NIDs that some of you have gone on that have made the difference. So again, I thank you for what you've done to help us eradicate polio off the face of the earth. We will get there. But it's not just polio. It's our number 1 priority, and we will finish it. But there's so many other things that we do as an organization. You heard about the educational program you heard earlier. It reminded me of a program in Haiti after the earthquake where we raised funds from around the world. Your area was a significant donor to Haiti. We raised $6.5 million, and we did 105 projects in Rotary post-earthquake. 40 of those was to rebuild schools, so we could put 29,526 children back to school. By going back to school, they not only get an education, which gives them an opportunity in life, but it also gives them a meal to eat, so they get nutrition. There was one particular school. When we went to visit all the projects, there was one school very similar to what you saw. It was on top of a hill. For me, it was a mountain, okay? I come from a flat country. And we had to walk up this mountain to get to the school. The children all lived on the mountain. The teachers, by the way, they would walk up this hill every day to make sure they could provide the education. And as we're going up this hill an hour and a half, and we had to stop for a breather a couple of times, a fellow walked past us carrying 2 bags of cement. Now, I don't know if any of you ever picked up a bag of cement, but it's not light. And we're watching him go, and we realized that everything they did to rebuild that school had to be carried up this hill. Hour and a half of walking, every bag of cement. And what they do is they take the cement and they make the blocks to build the school. So they don't have to carry the blocks, just the cement. They get it there, they make it. So we finally get to the top of this is August. In Haiti, in August, it's a hot time of year. So we went through a lot of bottles of water on the way, kept hydrated. But we get to the school. Every child going to that school in August at the holiday time was there in uniform. They were there because they wanted to say thank you to Rotary. That's special. When we walked in, they sang some songs to us, and then they gave to me a papier-mâché schoolhouse, which was a replica of the school that we had just built for them. Now, you should see me trying to carry that on the plane. Didn't want to damage this schoolhouse, but how thoughtful, how appreciative. These kids on the top of a hill whose only way they can get an education was in this school with teachers from cities elsewhere. Rotary changed their life. You changed their life. And it's important we appreciate all the kind of work that Rotarians do around the world. We're everywhere. Everywhere. Esther and I have had the good fortune this year of being to 46 countries so far. Everywhere we go, we get inspired by the work that Rotary does. Whether it's the dialysis center that Rotary provided in Manila, and 6 patients twice a day get free dialysis, and Rotary runs the center. Those people wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Rotary. Or in Dominica, it's the recycling project. The hurricane destroyed part of a hotel that a Rotarian owned. The restaurant is gone, but the Rotarian owner gave a 20 by 20 foot room to a Rotaractor to run a business of recycling. And what he does is he and his wife go out and they collect the plastic refuse from around the country. They put it into a machine that he built from parts that he found in the dump. He bought one transformer to heat it up. He melted the plastic and he mixes different colors, melted the plastic, turns it into jewelry, and sells the jewelry to an entrepreneur who sells it to the tourists. One Rotaractor and his wife. Fantastic. They're recycling. I asked him, what's the most difficult challenge with this? He said, well, we're going to run out of plastic refuse. I said, well, what country do you want me to send it from? We all have some of that. But what amazing projects. So I asked them to please write this up so we could share it around. We've already got it being considered in 4 other countries that we could do it. That's what Rotarians, we're always thinking, we always have a vision, we do good things. But in spite of all that we're doing, and we're doing fabulous work around the world, I believe that we're at a crossroads as an organization. The reason I asked all of our young folks to stand up is because I want you to see the percentage that is in the room tonight of those of us of my age and those of us of their age. We have to be sure that we're replacing ourselves for the future. We have to be sure that we create an organization that is relevant to our young professionals. Over the last 2 years, over 300,000 people left Rotary. Think about that. We're only 1.2 million and 300,000 left in 2 years. Less than 5% of Rotaractors have joined Rotary at any point in time. Less than 5%. So I ask you as Rotarians in Rotary clubs to ask yourselves, what is my club doing to be relevant to today's youth? What is my club doing to be relevant to our females in our communities? Are we really the diverse club that we should be to represent our community? If the answer is no, then you need to meet with your members and see what we need to do differently. We need to start thinking different. There's a saying in Africa that if you want to change the dance, you have to change the music. Well, I believe it's time for us to change the music. And that's why this year our theme is to be the inspiration. Because I believe if each and every one of us are inspired, if we have it in our heart, if we have that fire that's lit within us, that we want to make our world a better place, that's the inspiration we have that we have to share with everybody else. We have to go to our communities and make sure they understand that we need their help if we really want to make our world a better place. Each and every one of us have to have that fire. And our theme this our theme this year comes with a logo, which I'd like to explain to you. You can see it on the screen. Most of us recognize the wave, right? The wave, yes? Okay, just check and make sure you're still there. Some say I made the wave too big. It looks like a hurricane, but that's okay. That's for effect. And by the way, the colors in this, you'll notice, are the blues from our waters of the Bahamas, the beaches, the sunsets, the sunrises. These are colors that my brown-eyed girl, my wife, Esther, she designed all these colors. And we wanted to represent and show the Caribbean colors and the beauty that we have. But then we wanted to take it a step further. So where we have the wave, and the wave is a force of nature, just like Rotary is a force of nature to make positive change. Under the tip of the wave is the shape of a heart. Some say we have to use our imagination to see the heart, but okay, it's there. That reason that's there is because Rotary has heart. And to the right, where you have the oranges, the reds, the sunsets, the sunrises, the beaches, that's in the shape of a sail, because Rotary has direction. We're a force of nature with heart that has direction. The direction comes from our Rotary clubs. Where we go into the future isn't going to be what we do. Where we go into the future is what the Rotary clubs around the world do. We want to be proud of our organization when our great-grandchildren are presidents of our clubs. We want them to be thinking, you know, there was a time that Rotary needed to make change. My grandfather, my grandmother, they were part of that change. That's what I'd like to hear in the future, because we need to think a little differently. Has anybody seen the cover of the July issue of the Rotarian magazine? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you in a second. I don't know how you remember which issue has what on the cover. I certainly never can remember that. But the July issue, there was 2 people on the cover, and there were some flamingos. Remember that? The people aren't what's important in this picture. What's important are those 7 flamingos. You'll notice that 6 flamingos are going in one direction. And there's 1 flamingo going in the opposite direction. That is the flamingo of change. The flamingo of change is fighting the crowd, trying to get back through, trying to do things a little differently. And he's fighting with the others. What you don't see is the video of this shot where the other flamingos begin to turn and go in the other direction. The flamingo of change can help us to adjust our direction. What we need in our Rotary clubs is a flamingo of change in every club. Do I have any volunteers? All right. One enthusiastic one here. Thank you. We need to think a little differently. We need to go in a little different direction. From the board of directors is talking about what do we do different to help lead our organization into the future. We've asked our operating review committee, and we've appointed a new committee called Rotary's Future. Just like the future vision that the foundation did 8 years ago. So that shaping Rotary's future can start looking at all of our governance issues and not get bogged down by what we are today, but ask ourselves, what should we be today to be relevant to today's world? What do we have to do to be relevant to all these young folks in this room so that every one of them want to be a member of a Rotary Club? We've got to be relevant to today's world. So we're looking at it from our point of view. I'm asking every Rotary Club to look at it from your point of view as to what you could do differently. In talking to Rotaractors, I always remind them that they're on the Rotary highway. And when they're on the highway, they should stay on that highway. You're on it for the rest of your life. Sometimes you take an exit. When you're finished to interact, you change schools, but come back on the highway. join a Rotaract university-based. And when they leave university, they might get off the highway, but then they should come back on to join a community-based Rotaract club. Then they need to join a Rotary club. My message to Rotaractors, though, is you have a choice. You could see Rotary clubs that you don't really relate to, but you could join anyway and have the courage to help them change to be relevant. But if that's too difficult, then start your own Rotary club. And you're going to see from me, and you're going to see from the president-elect, our president next year, that there's going to be a major focus on starting new Rotary clubs. We shouldn't be beating up on the old clubs to change. You've heard me say that, but I'm not beating up on anybody. But we should be talking about what do we do for the future. Let's encourage those good clubs that are doing good work, but let's start some new Rotary clubs so that we have a way for our young people to join us the way they want to do Rotary, the way they want to do service. Young professionals want to make our world a better place. They want to do service, but they want to do it less expensive. They want to include their families. They don't want to go to boring meetings. But they want to do what we do at the heart, the core of who we are. They want to be a part of that. We have to make sure that they can do that so that we can grow Rotary. It's not about membership growth. It's about Rotary growth. And that's what we need to do. So we need to encourage our young professionals, and we have to think differently and talk differently. But we're making the adjustment. At Rotary International, we're making changes in our database so that we can make sure we capture every single alumni that comes through our organization. I believe we made a terrible mistake over the years in not capturing all that information. We have youth exchange out there that we don't know where they went. We have Peace Fellows, we don't know what happened. We have our Rotex that's living out there on its own. I've recommended to Rotex that they convert every Rotex club into a Rotaract club. Be a part of us so that you're a Rotarian just like we are, because they're a great resource for youth exchange. So we have a lot of things that we could do to help our organization make these changes. But I didn't come here tonight to lecture you. I probably went too far with that. Go back to where I started saying thank you, okay? What we do is special. We're the only organization of our kind around the world who has the reputation that we have for doing good. I've met with some 30, 35 heads of state over the last 6 months. Every single one of them want to have an agreement with Rotary in their community because they see Rotary as the change agent to be able to do the things that the government cannot do. I'm proud of that. Are you proud of that? Two of them wanted a written memorandum of understanding. Kind of didn't agree to that, but gave them my card, which has a 4-way test on the back. But the point is, we have an opportunity. Rotary is well connected everywhere. We have friends. I'm in Brazil, and a Rotarian walks up to me and says, I heard you're going to Portugal. Yeah, 2 weeks I'll be in Portugal. Do you want to meet the president? I'm in Brazil. Well, sure. Okay. Next thing I know, I've got a meeting with the president of Portugal. We spent an hour together just talking about what Rotary is, what Rotary does, and how much respect he has for Rotary. It's unbelievable. But we are connected everywhere, which means we can do change. We can make change. We're the ones who, with Aziz Mehman in Pakistan, was able to meet with the Taliban and ask them to put their guns down so we could immunize children. That's special. And 2 days ago, we had a meeting at headquarters where we're talking about who is the next person who can meet with the Taliban and do this again so we could get this job finished. And we will. We're almost there. But to go back to the thank you, I want to close by bringing you a thank you from somebody who you'll never see, you'll never meet. Esther and I were in a school in Malawi, school with 4,000 children, 38 teachers, mathematicians in the room, about 200 students for one teacher. And Rotarians are showing us around the school with the principal of the school, and I turn around and Esther was gone. I lose Esther quite often. So I started to look for where she went, and I find a classroom, about 200 students in there, and in the middle of the room is Esther, surrounded by these happy, laughing, smiling children. There's not a desk in the room, there's not a chair, just a lot of happy children. You know, for us, we'd be devastated. How do these poor kids get an education in this environment? But they're happy. And Esther was having a ball talking to these young people. One of them came up to me, 11, 12-year-old, and he pointed to my Rotary pin. And he said, I know that people wearing that pin are the ones who put the well here so that we could have water to drink. One well for all the school. And the people wearing that pin are the ones who built the 2 toilets that we now have for all of us. I'm thinking, these poor kids, 2 toilets, that means a lot of people don't go to school each month because they don't have toilets to use. But he's still smiling. He's saying, we appreciate what these people here with this pin did, but we also know that people from other countries, other places around the world who wear that pin helped them to do it. He said, you know, we'll never see them, but would you please say thank you to them for me? Wow. I'm here on behalf of him to say thank you for all that you do for the children around the world that you'll never see, you'll never meet. All the females that you're providing an education to. All the people that you get clean water, hygiene, and sanitation to. Those you're providing some economic opportunities to. The Peace Fellows that are providing a reduction in conflict around the world. All those people out there that you're helping with every contribution you make to our foundation. On behalf of them, that's why I'm here, to say thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barry. And
you.
again, I would like to invite also up Esther Rassin as well. Here is a team. All right. So again, thank you very much. This is outstanding, Barry. Barry it's been a tradition of this club. Please sit down. Well, it's been a tradition of this event that we give a gift to our speakers. Barry and Esther have asked us not to do that. And again, it goes back to their spirit and their drive. So what we have done, we have asked the Rotary clubs that have joined us today to give us a donation that we can send to the Rotary International Group. Thank you. So in your names, that we will be doing that for helping us out today and for spending your time here. And again, we thank you very much. So again, one more round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.